A few moments, and I introduce Rev Sandy to do our talk this morning.
Thank you, sweetheart.
Is she on?
Am I on?
Yeah.
Okay. No?
Say something else.
Something else?
Off, maybe. Good morning.
Now?
Talking to the mic.
Now?
That's
Yeah,
it, yes.
that's got it.
We had to play with it this morning. Oh, thank you, Joanne. Really like that, and Stephen. The critic on vacation really hit home. I like that one, thank you. And I'm glad that you got conjugated out without stuttering.
I practiced.
I've got a public service announcement first. The Forks opens the end of this month. Woo! So we can have lunch and have fun at the Forks again. The important things in life. I'm like Joanne. That Peace Infinitely, you know, I sat there looking at it going, okay, what am I going to do with this? And so when I do that, I always start with, what does the word mean to me? So I started thinking about peace, peace, peace. There was War and Peace, the big book we had to read in high school. You know, there's peace in our time. There were peace protests in the 60s, but it was all about war. So the thought was, if we weren't at war, we were at peace, which I had a real problem with, because there's winners, there's losers, there's punishing the losers, there's everything that's going on in the news and things at home. We still got domestic violence, we still had murders, we still had drug problems. Where was the peace in any of that? So then I took it a little further, thinking, okay, we talk about the peak experience, but when we're stuck in the fear, or we're doing those other things, what does peace look like? I would like to have more minutes of peace at the first level than hope that someday I'm going to get to the 6th level and that's where it would be. So I started playing with that. And so what is peace for each of us? And I realized that we're each going to define peace differently. That peace for someone could be a house full of family and kids and noise and big dinners. For somebody else, it could be meditation at the lake. Maybe it's going to exercise class and there's a zone that you get in. Or it's out with friends. So I realized that we're each going to have to figure out what that is for us. For me, I like quiet. So quiet is I grew up in a big family and we were on top of each other all the time. So I really value the quiet part of it. Peace has a lot to do with when I look out and feel one with everything. There's a real peace and joy for that, a contentment for me. So that took me to contentment. So a part of my peace would be quiet, the silence, and a part would be a contentment. And then it got to, okay, so how do I get to those things? You know, the way my mind goes is crazy sometimes. So I started looking at perception, because to get to peace, we have to change our perception of where we are in life. To have peace, changing our perception, we have to quit the war inside of us. If I'm unhappy with my life, but I'm not going to make any changes, I don't want to leave the job, or I don't want to leave the relationship, or I don't want to get into a relationship, or whatever it is. If we hate being stuck and resent being stuck, but we're not moving, we are never going to have peace, because we've got this internal war going on. And as Joanne said, peace begins with each of us. So if we're warring inside of us, sure, there's going to be war in the world. Sure, there's going to be war on each other. Sure, there's going to be the violence and the beating up of the spouse or the kids or all of that, because war comes from war. If we're warring inside, all we're going to do is externalize that to our world and create that as our reality. So we have to take a look at where we are. And if our choice is to stay with it, then the only other option we have is to change our perception about how we see it. So if I choose to stay wherever it is, then somehow I've got to find a way to be at peace with that, to be content with that, to be even loving with that. And that's not an easy thing to do. And it's not going to happen overnight. It's a process. We don't have this goal that, like, by the end of this month, I'm going to have peace every day. It's never going to happen. You also can't just sit there and do the affirmation, I feel peaceful, joyful, and perfect, or whatever it is. That's never going to happen. We have to make changes in our thought process, our belief systems, and our behavior. And that starts with the things we talk about. It starts with things like meditation, whether you go on a retreat, or you do an open-eyed meditation just walking out in nature. But meditation gets us out of ourselves. It allows us to feel the bigger expansion of what Source is, what the world is, what love is. But it's not an escape. It's not to get out and stay over here. It's a feeling that's connected within us. So we're the foundation for it, and then it spreads. And then it includes more than just me. Work at your meditation, even if it's only doing a mantra in a few seconds. You know, do it in the bathroom, do it in the shower. If you have to multitask it, multitask it. That's better than not doing it at all. So you start with little things like that. You start with plastering that smile on your face, no matter how badly you feel, and smiling at the people you meet. If we're all miserable, if it's a bad Monday for everybody, this is a miserable town or a miserable world. Somebody has to make a change. And what you'll find is the more you plaster that smile on your face, it becomes a habit. And it all changes, and the muscles change, and they go automatically to the smile instead of the scowl or the unhappiness. You start practice smiling, pretty soon it gets to the eyes, and the eyes start to shine, and you feel it more, but see, you're building it up daily. You're making new habits. You're taking a moment to meditate or to expand, to be more, the quiet, you add a smile to it. Then you start looking for things like, you know, kindness should be a lifestyle. It shouldn't be just, you know, random acts. We were in class yesterday, and Jeannie talked about the problems she was having with her kids in school. She teaches somewhere around 3rd grade, I think, somewhere in there. And she was saying that the kids used to come in all the time, and they were always complaining, so-and-so did this, or so-and-so pushed me, or they touched me, or they teased me, or whatever it was. She started giving them the assignment when they went outside was to look for kind things that people did and to come in and report that. These kids started coming in and reporting that. They get excited now about seeing kind things, so they're focused on kind things, taking the focus off the negative things or the mean things, and then everybody wants to be recognized, right? So you're going to do kind things so people will see it. But again, it's a habit that's being built. These kids are doing this young. Can you imagine when they're adults and they're going out seeing the world, looking at the kind things and the beautiful things? It's little things like that. One teacher, one class a year, making a difference in the world. It's amazing how, what if one of those kids turns out to be President of the United States? You know, or the ambassador to the UN, or the next Mother Teresa? Because one person made a commitment to stop a war. And that's what it was. It was a war between the kids and seeing who could find the worst and who could tell. All the difference. When you go to work and you hate being there, smile anywhere. Love your boss. Love him so much he goes away and gets another job. You know? You'll find that maybe you'll then go the way. We had a friend, another person in the class, one little change in her mind of a job she was really hating, and doors started opening because she looked at it differently. She opened herself to the potential and the possibility of something different, looking at it in a loving, peaceful way, and stopping the war she had going on inside of her, and the emotional and thought war she had going on with the boss. If we all do this a drop at a time, we're going to make a difference. How many times are you having a bad day and somebody's kind enough to look you in the eye and say, how you doing? Or you get a good hug, or you get recognition for something you've done. If we're all doing that, looking for nice things to say about people, looking for kind things that people are doing, you see somebody do something kind, go up and say, I noticed what you did. That was really cool. Thank you. How easy is that? They're getting feedback then that kindness is appreciated, it's recognized. Somebody noticed it. Well, maybe I should do it more often because everybody's out there looking at everybody else. Everything's on the cameras, on Facebook. Do I want to be on Facebook being bitchy? Or do I want to be on Facebook being a nice person? But it's all up to us. As Joanne says, it's in here. What else could you do to stop the war? Just think about it. Maybe it's making amends to somebody, you know, finally giving up the need to have to be right that keeps the war going. So you have estranged relationships. You know, how many parents need to be right so they're fighting with their teens? How many couples, one of them needs to be right or have the last word, so the fight's going on in the relationship? Give up needing to be right. Look at what you want. Do you want to be right or you want the relationship? Most people want the relationship. So focus on being more loving in that. Does it matter who said how far it was and whether it was at 3 o'clock or midnight or if it was even this year? That's not the point of the story. We need to get past this having to correct everybody. Somebody's telling a story and they say it wrong, who cares? You're not even going to remember you had the conversation in 10 years. It's not the point of the story. There's a point or something they're sharing. And if they remember it differently than you do, well, they talk about car accidents. Everybody saw the accident different. We're going to see the conversations differently. We're going to have different impacts because of who and what we are. These things that we feel better if we know more. If we know somebody was sick, well, I know that they did this, and I know that they did that, and who's got the latest? Who cares? Just tell me what's going on. I just want to know. So it's all of these little things that we do as human beings that pick at it. But it is a war. If we're doing those things, we're contributing to the war. We're not contributing to a peaceful solution. Solutions take love. Good solutions. Solutions that are for the highest good of everyone. Means you don't look at encounters as winners and losers. We have to get past that. It's drilled into us every day. We have a system, a political system that's on 24/7 talking about who's winning and who's losing, who's good and who's bad. How much dirt can we dig up to smear them so they can't win? I mean, look at all the things that Congress did. You know, freezes people out of work, no money coming in because they wanted to be a winner. Where is that? Forget the people? I want to win? There's something wrong with that, basically, as a foundation of where we live. I personally like to think it's a pretty good country, but there's sometimes when I look at what they're saying overseas or what's going on, and I'm thinking, we're not doing too well. We talk a good game, but are we really living it? Yeah, somebody has a tsunami, somebody has an earthquake, we're all right there. We'll go in and help, we'll donate, we'll give money, we'll give food, we'll give clothes.